recall too that the CPTM political party under its National Secretary General Jean Kwete is already galvanizing members for seminars across the country to ensure that people are well placed as far as politics in the country is concerned. So tonight, we are going to be talking politics to profile or see how the manifesto of the new chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party can really work to the interest of that political party. Well, you're signing into DMRTV's evening time political talk show, Mountain Echoes, with me, Jude Mbaku, live in Boya. And tonight, we are going to be talking Osih's manifesto, asking if it's a blueprint for SDF political party. Joshua Osih Nabange is the new chairman of that political party after having served as the first vice chairman of that party since 2012, and he has been elected that was last weekend as the new chairman of that party in a contest that took him alongside two other members. So tonight, for us to be able to talk on this issue and have a very nice pedestal, we have in our midst Mr. Ndifor Richard. He's not new here, but he has been very formidable on Mountain Echoes. He is the National Assistant Secretary for Political Education and Training for the Social Democratic Front Party. The National Assistant Secretary for Political Education and Training for the Social Democratic Front Party, Ndifor Richard. So, Mr. Ndifor, thank you for coming tonight. We are honored to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Mbaku, and nice being on the program again. And I want to say a very good evening to the viewers. And I hope that we are going to have a very interesting conversation today.
Right. You are just the right person for this discussion because we are looking at at Osih's manifesto, the new chairman of your political party, and we are questioning ourselves if it's going to serve a blueprint for that party. You as the first or the national assistant secretary for political education and training, you should be able to have a clue of what that is all about, the issues we are going to raise. But then last week at this time, today is no tomorrow, it was last week Saturday, at the time Cameroonians were busy shouting or praising or watching their hero Ngannou, Francis Ngannou, a martial artist who was fighting in Saudi Arabia. SDF, the whole of that night, people could not also sleep because of the Social Democratic Front Party. I recall that in every forum that I am, the things were side by side. If you are not focusing on Ngannou, you're waiting on the results from the SDF political party. So you are a member of the National Executive Committee of that political party. You were there in Yaoundé from the planning process right through to the elections. And I think you are in a good position to also weigh for us how that, give a general appraisal of how that election came and when. How was it?
Well, it was again, once more, an opportunity for the SDF political party to demonstrate to Cameroonians that the SDF is a school for democracy. It's the only political party that regularly organize elections. Even when our former national chairman of blessed memory, while he was still alive, his position was always put to contest. It was not just a given, because every 4 years he was to go in for election, and even though in most cases he was not challenged, but we have seen instances where he was challenged. He was challenged, I think, 3 or 4 times in that position. But this was the very first time in the history of the SDF that we had this kind of transition, where we had 3 formidable candidates running for the position of national chairman, and it was a hotly contested election. And once more the SDF demonstrated to the world that we are an example of democracy, not only in Cameroon, in Africa as a whole. The election went on smoothly. There were some instances of some hitches here and there, but which election will you not find those type of hitches, especially in an election where you have 3 candidates hotly contesting? So there were a few hitches, but that was quickly addressed. Some complaints were raised, and the election committee, you understand that on that night, the National Executive Committee was dissolved, and the convention put in place an independent electoral commission to manage the election. So this commission, when the little complications that came up when they were tabled, this commission had to suspend the entire process, call the other candidates, all the three candidates together, had a discussion with them, and then they agreed on the basis on how to go ahead with the election. And so everything went smoothly. And throughout the night, a lot of people say, why did it take so long for the results to come out? Of course, you remember we were dealing with over 1,600 delegates. We were to vote for several positions. It was not just voting for one position. They were voting for several positions. And so it had to take a long time for them to do that. And also to ensure that the process was meticulous and ensure that it was transparent and fair, we had to take our time. And that is why it took the whole time, the voting, because the voting started effectively, voting started at around 8 p.m. that night. And then after the voting, they had to go through the process of counting, where we have candidates sending their representatives to be at the different counting booths, where they counted all the ballot papers. And then after that, they went to the process of tallying the result. And immediately after tallying the result, before they had to declare the result, and that took us to about 6 a.m. to 7 a.m.
in the morning. So yes. it was a whole night's process.
No, it was a whole night. We were there the whole night.
You talk about hitches. When you say hitches, it will mean that some people were disgruntled in one way or the other.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The issue is that we realize that some delegates, some people who came as delegates, were not actually SDF militants, who found themselves into the hall, and they were almost about to take the line to vote. So people quickly identified that, because these delegates, or these supposed delegates, were in the central region, and so people quickly identified that these were not SDF militants, and the committee had to sort them out. They did verification and actually ascertained that they were not SDF militants, and so they had to ask them not to vote. So in the process of that, there was some agitation, and probably whoever brought them there wanted to put up some kind of resistance that they were going to vote. But thank God that was addressed, and the entire process went on smoothly. Right.
And now, Joshua Osih, who was, in fact, he was seen more of a leader of that party even before that election. He won up in an absolute majority, I must say. And all the other...
He won by a little over 60%.
Great. So the other contenders, what was their reaction? How did they feel?
Well, in every election, when you lose, it is normal for you to be frustrated, for you to be disappointed. Those are normal emotions, normal things that can happen with everybody. But I was impressed by one of the contestants, the closest contestant to the winner, in the person of Mr. Shewa David, who embraced the winner, shook his hand and congratulated him in the process. And that again was a show of democracy and emphasis too for unity.
SDF, even before now, many had been on the opinion that the image of SDF was already battering, given that for some time SDF has not been very active in the political arena, though on other aspects they've been struggling on other things. But when it comes to politics in itself, representation and presidential elections and all this, SDF had not really been consolidating its position. Now, after this election, do we have a point that you feel, your party now feels that the image of the party has been projected? I know that people have been saying a lot about the SDF, but from here, do you have the feeling now that SDF has come out of a certain cocoon and has a another image that people will view it from?
Let me start, Mbaku, by saying that the convention, heading to the convention, the period heading to the convention, and then the virtual convention created a lot of momentum. And at this moment, I can confidently say the momentum is on our side right now. The SDF has gathered so much momentum. You remember that prior to the national convention, we have had reorganization at the level of the ward, at the level of the districts, the region, and eventually at the national level. So we did all of this reorganization, and in that process, we mobilized the grassroots. The grassroots was well mobilized. Now, talking about the performance of the party in the past recent election, well, you will understand that this was caused by two major challenges that the SDF that came unexpected to the SDF. One of these was the crisis in the northwest and southwest that the SDF did not preview, and it took us by surprise. It's also the new political forces that have come up to the political field. With this, they took the SDF. These are challenges that took the SDF by surprise, because we didn't anticipate this kind of challenges. But right now, the party has already known that we have this kind of challenges, and the party is very much prepared to face these challenges moving forward.
For the very first time that the founder of that party was not there, what was the feeling? I mean, because other times we know that when conventions are there and we hear Ni John Frunze, the atmosphere is always different. This time, you like, he was like a figure, a grandfather in the house. This time he was not there. There's always that one person or some figure that when you look at, you feel like, okay, we are safe, we are covered, we have a shield. How were you people? What was the feeling this time around without him?
Yeah, it is obvious that the absence of our emblematic national chairman was felt in the hall. But I want to let you know that the SDF is an institution, and it is an institution and not an individual. The national chairman had prepared the groundwork for this convention. He had done everything. You remember the convention was actually supposed to take place on the day he was buried,
right?
And so it was moved to October due to his passing away. So we are ready. We were ready. We were. I will not lie. I will not. I must admit it that we felt his absence. That father figure, that authoritative figure in the party. But all the same, everything went on smoothly, like any other convention. Everything went on smoothly, and so therefore the party is still waxing very strong and prepared for the challenges ahead of it.
We've seen political parties in Cameroon and Africa where leadership usually slips from father to son in most cases, and in this case I don't know whether there was any instant in time where a child of the founder of that party feels that, okay, this is my father's party. I also have, because we've seen people leaving from even the presidency, most African countries, from the president you hand over to your son, and the recent cases of coups that we are seeing around. This is a party. And was there any point that your party felt like we should compensate the child of our founder?
Not at all. That's an interesting question there. Not at all. As a matter of fact, the children of the late chairman had nothing to do with the convention. It was an entirely party affair. It has nothing to do with any family member of the former national chairman. It was an entirely party affair. The only thing that guided us throughout the process was the statutory laws of the party, the constitution of the party. That was the only guiding tool that we used throughout the process. And so, yeah, one of his sons who was a member of NEC, because he contested in the last time and was elected as the National Socialist Youth President.
Right.
He was there in that capacity. He was there at the convention, but he had no influence. He could only have as much influence as any other SDF militant and any other NEC member. But everything was done based on the laws and the rules of the party.
All right. So now let us look at the guy who took the day and who is going to be carrying the weight of this party on his shoulder. I'm talking about 55-year-old Joshua Osih, who is the chairman of that political party. Now, if we look quickly at his political ladder, he is one of those who joined the party since its creation in 1990. He joined. He says he had his first cut in that party in 1991, and it was in Bonakamo in Douala 1. In 2002, he was candidate for the legislative and municipal elections. In 2006, he was elected second national vice chairman during the 2006 convention of that party, and then he became. In 2007, he now became the candidate for legislative election. So you realize that Osih has been he has been one person who has been moving the ladder with that party. In 2012, now he was elected first national vice president in the 2012 convention. In 2013, he was elected SDF member of parliament from the Wuri Center constituency, and if you follow that up with the various positions he held in parliament, in 2015 he founded he was founder and coordinator of the Progressive Alliance of Central Africa. Then in 2017 he was re-elected into the parliament. 2018 he was re-elected first national vice chairman, and in 2020 he was re-elected SDF member of parliament in same constituency. He has been passing through various ranks. So this is one candidate who has been there since 1990. I guess if you were to ask many who were there, they'll probably say that this is someone who may have mastered, because we can also not say with plenty of certainty, who has mastered the path of the party comparatively to Shewa David, who is not well known in terms of the party, and equally the young Zama Gordon. How good is Joshua Osih now in SDF? How much hope do the people or do the members of SDF give to this new chairman?
Thank you. You see, if the delegates at the convention, of course, the majority of the delegates of the convention voted Osih, it is because they found in him what it takes for a serious person to lead the SDF at this time. Like you rightly said there, he has walked the ladder of the party from the base of the party up to the district, the region, right up to the national level where he was elected first vice chairman. And you see, he had gone through this process and has learned through the process. He understands the political environment of Cameroon so well. He understands the intricacies and complexities of the opposition, and most especially the SDF political party. He understands the politics of Cameroon, having been a member of parliament for 2 consecutive terms. He has understood the political environment of Cameroon so well, and so therefore he carries with him a lot of experience, a lot of political experience, which is what qualified him, what made him the best choice for the delegates who were in Yaoundé and who gave him their confidence.
When you say he understands the political arena, I remember there was one point where people were worried, especially those who are of the opposition too, because they have interest in the SDF. They're worried that Osih is already very connected with the ruling civilian party. I guess that was the same thing they used to say about the late John Frunte.
Absolutely.
That is connected and is going to, in quotes, sell the party to the civilian political party. And they were feeling that it is a new era, that Gordon Zama, who is quite young, or the Shewa could come now from a new dispensation to give a new breath to the political party. Is there anything like someone who is going to sell the party? Is there any marriage between the SDF and the CPDM? Maybe you might not want to accept, but when you look around the politics,
it's not a matter of me not wanting to accept. It's a matter of facts. You understand? You know, in a world of social media, in today's world of social media and a lot of political propaganda, and with so many political opponents, you know, the SDF previously had a major opponent, which was the CPDM. But today, they have many other opponents. We are talking about the MRC political party, we are talking about the PCRN, we are talking about several other political parties. We have people whose political agenda is not to take power, but to unseat or probably to take the position of the SDF as the main opposition party in Cameroon. You see, if you ask some of these political parties, what is your plan for this country? What is your political ideology? They don't have any political ideology. The only thing they will call, they may just copy and paste what the SDF has as a political ideology, and they will repeat that to you. All they have as a political agenda is to fight the SDF and take the position of the main opposition party in Cameroon, as if that is an achievement. The SDF has never seen that as an achievement, because the SDF targets the Unity Palace as the place where they have to go, because that is where they can get the power to be able to affect the lives of Cameroonians. But unfortunately, a lot of these people, they come up with this kind of propaganda, and they will tell you things about Joshua Osih. Like you said, they said the same thing about our emblematic national chairman. I remember the first in the first outing of Professor Maurice Kamto, when he was launching his campaign, the first thing he said was that Frundi sold his 1992 presidential election win to the CPDM. That is something that is incomprehensible. That is something that is just, I don't even know how to put it, because those are just political propaganda, a way of airblowing the SDF and take the position of main opposition party. And so they come out with these frivolous claims that are not even backed by any concrete evidence. I've had opportunity to talk with a few people who claim that Osih is a system person, a man who is very close to the CPDM. And I asked them, can you point one concrete example? And I'm sitting here with you, you are a journalist, and I'm sure you've done a lot of investigation. If you can point to me one concrete example to tell me that it is on this basis that we are saying that Osih is close to the CPDM, then I'll be able to answer you. But when we base our argument on social media claims, social media propaganda, and claims that do not have any evidence, any proof, it becomes funny. In fact, as a matter of fact, Joshua Osih is one member of parliament who has been very vocal and critical of this regime in parliament. You have the videos are out there, you can check them out. He has been very, very vocal and questioning this regime. In the last parliamentary parliamentary session, not even session, the last term, when he was there with other SDF MP, he led the party to fight to force this Southern Cameroon issue to be brought to the table. And unfortunately, the overwhelming majority of CPDM crushed the proposal of discussing this issue at the National Assembly. And so, quite honestly, I don't know on what people are basing their argument that he is close to the system, because I cannot pin my finger on a particular issue that he did that could be used as an example to say that, okay, it is for this reason. Apart from the fact that he co-signed with other MPs of the CPDM a memo asking for the US government to deport leaders of separatist leaders who were fomenting trouble in Cameroon and causing the death of so many. Recently, we saw what happened in Guzan, and that was done by the ADF. and that was done under the instruction of a separatist leader abroad. Now, if you were in the position of a member of parliament, wouldn't you request that that individual be brought back to face justice? All of that, he did it in the interest of the people. He did that in the interest of the people who were being victimized, being the victim of all of this. However, he was called to order by NEC for having gone ahead to do that signature without
the authorization,
of the majority and all of that. And that issue had been trashed a long time ago. So apart from that case, I honestly do not see where the idea of him being close to the system is coming from. Right. I do not see that.
Right. In his manifesto, because we are trying to look at the man, if you look at the picture on your screen there, we have Frunze and who has died and given power to the young Joshua Osih. And we also have the late Amadou Ahijo, who gave power to. When you see the young people, they are usually handsome. They are usually, and history, the history teacher that you are, we know how much this played. History tells us that many Cameroonians were deceived by the handsomeness of President Paul Biya. This is not me saying, it is history. And you can bear me witness to that.
There was a lot of, even apart from the fact that it's handsomeness, there was a lot of enthusiasm among Cameroonians, because Cameroonians were desperate for change at the time.
Right.
And so when the young President Paul Biya came up, there was a lot of enthusiasm, there was a lot of hope, there was a lot of euphoria as to the new person who has come, and everybody was expecting.
And this is the same young, handsome-looking Joshua Osih we see on screen. Yeah. You at one point feel that this kind of a vision might want to replicate itself.
No. I will not. I will not want us to play that kind of comparison here. Joshua Osih is a man of himself. He's a completely different person from Paul Biya. And I will not in any way just say because he too is handsome or because he too is young as Biya was, that means that is not a parameter to use to judge him. I think we should judge him based on his output. He just took over a few days ago. Let us give him a chance and see what he's able to do differently.
All right. Let us look at his manifesto for the political party, the SDF, and that is considered the crux of what we want to discuss tonight. And the very first thing Joshua Osih says is going to be doing for the SDF is to renew the trust with all members and build a conquering party. He says, we aim to restore trust in our members by being transparent and honoring our commitment. We also are going to implement a real power to the people, which is your slogan for that party, in its internal policies and involvement. Organize a biannual national conference for the formation of our public policy and proposals, bringing together electoral districts, president, divisional coordinators, national and regional. How good is SDF leadership at the base for this electoral district presidents, the divisional coordinators, the regional presidents, the national? How structured is SDF at the base?
If you ask about the structure of the SDF, you know that SDF
what I mean is it really firm in a way that we can trust that SDF political party as of now, the decision comes from the grassroots? Are they really firm in decision making?
Of course, the SDF. Unlike, I think the SDF, apart from the CPDM, the SDF is the only other political party with firm grassroots presence. We have what in almost all the parts of Cameroon, all the nooks and crannies of Cameroon. We have what from the what we have the districts, from the districts to the region, and then the region, and then national. So we have that is how the party is structured, if that's what you're asking about. And what the national chairman, the new national chairman, is talking about there is that henceforth they are going to empower this leadership at the base.
Okay.
And to do that, he made mention of the fact that he's going to ensure that NEC meetings that usually took place only in Yaoundé or in Bamenda will now be rotatory, which means it will be taking place in all the different regions of the country. So when we move, for example, to the southwest, we will have all the district chairman or district chairpersons and the ward chairpersons to attend the meetings. And then we will, when the regions too also have to organize some kind of regional conference in which all the ward chairperson and the district chairperson will have to be in participation, so that on a constant basis we can be in touch with the base, we can be in touch with the grassroots, and always listen to their challenges, listen to their difficulties, and try to find a way of overcoming those challenges at the level of base, and also try to sell the party's policy agenda to the base, so that they are well trained, well educated, to be able to sell this to the electorate during elections.
He says again that he's going to rebuild communication with a graphic chart that better reflects our time, repositioning of branding, a dynamic website, a web TV, a web radio, digital publication, social media presence, online political training, and all this that has to do with the new technology.
Absolutely.
One of the serious problem we face with political parties in Cameroon, which many call mushroom parties. Recall that Cameroon has 233 plus political parties in Cameroon at this point, and if we were to go online to check, you find out that even those ones that are in the National Assembly, most do not have a website. Absolutely. They don't have an online platform where you can Google and get information about them.
That's quite problematic.
Yes, it's a really big problem. I don't know how people run. And I recall too that at one point, the SDF faced a lot of challenges with the fact that it did not have a constructed headquarter that belongs to it.
And I think we'll come to that.
Yes, but let us look at this new technology and the SDF. 33 years ago, the format of the SDF was different. It was created at the time, let's say it was an analog era. Today is digital. And young people today, they really don't feel engaged in politics somehow. Taking this political party to the social media space, to embracing new technology, definitely is going to be a stepping stone. But how do we manage this? Maybe you have the answer to that.
Absolutely. You know, like you rightly said, even not only political parties, as you mentioned, but we know that in Cameroon we have a serious problem with institutions running a robust website that carries information about the institution.
Even state institutions.
Yes, even state institution. That is a serious problem with our institution. If you take even state universities and other universities in Cameroon, except for a few others, if you take state universities, a few of them really actually have websites, but these websites are not
robust enough.
Yes, they don't contain enough information. Exactly. Because if you go, for example, if you go to a university website, you are expected to go for each department, each program in that university. You need to see all what they are. The course content and all of that needs to be found online. You also need to see even the different professors or what we call faculties in all of those different departments. But when you look, you cannot check, you cannot get all of that. I remember I wanted to do, when I was in the United States, they requested an evaluation of my degree and all of that, and they could not contact my university, the University of Yaoundé one, online. It was very difficult to meet them even online and all of that. So it is a serious problem that is not only a problem of political parties, but it is good news for the SDF that our new national chairman is talking about digitalizing the party. I think that is the best way to summarize all of this. And how we're going to go about this is a whole different ball game, and I'm sure by the time we meet in our first next meeting after the election, we are going to strategize on this. But what I know is that we are coming up with a complete communication strategy for the party, and in all of that, I am sure we're going to recruit
expert communicators,
an expert in the webmaster.
Yeah.
We're also going to employ a digital marketer who is going to run our Facebook, our social media pages, and all of that. And we are going to, like he mentioned, we are going to have a robust website where you can always go there to find the policies of the SDF, policy agenda of the SDF in all the sectors of Cameroon. For example, if you want to know what does the SDF propose in terms of education, you could quickly find that on our website. You want to know what is SDF proposing in terms of the economic or the price hike and the economic job opportunities and unemployment and all of that. You're going to find all of that on our website.
There's a serious problem with, like you said earlier, with political parties in Cameroon. In the West and other places, these discussions get flowing every other day. Absolutely. With political parties and political leaders. People like presidents like Trump, every day they're on Twitter placing their policies, using social medias and engaging with people. So I think, anyway,
I wanted to touch on something there, Jude,
that
the national chairman mentioned about transparency. All right. Now, you will remember that for a very long time, the SDF has allowed itself to be defined by social media propaganda. They have allowed themselves, like you mentioned about the fact that people just get up and say, oh, Joshua Osih is attached to the regime. That is because the party for a long time had allowed the social media to define itself. One other example is when the separatists said, oh, the SDF should quit parliament. And they claimed that in 1992, the United Kingdom requested that if the SDF withdraw from parliament, they were going to grant independence to Southern Cameroon. Those kind of propaganda, which were fake, of course. And the SDF was irresponsive to that. They did not send out a direct response to counter that and to allow the people to define it as if this is said and the SDF is saying nothing, it means that is true. So we want to move away from that and become more transparent this time.
And that's because people undermine the strength of communication, which is a very formidable tool.
Exactly. So henceforth, you're going to see more and more the SDF putting out its position on major issues, key issues affecting the life of the nation. You're going to see that most frequently. You could move to the SDF website and you could check that. We are going to run an effective Facebook page which is verified, an effective Twitter page which is verified, and all of that. And so there will be a lot of information out there for people to clear all the doubt, because we want to change the narrative. We want to be able to clear all this perception, which in most cases are wrong perception about the party. So the SDF want to clear its name in the public.
The SDF is a national party, and our eyes will be fixed to see that it happens, because we are not here for any kind of propaganda, of course.
Absolutely.
We will definitely be putting our eyes to see that this goes through. But we are interested in the manifesto which the national chairman of your party gave. Now, there's this aspect of political education and training to have cutting-edge local leadership.
Absolutely.
And this is even your domain, where you are the national assistant for political education nationally.
Yes.
Political education, what are we looking at?
Beautiful.
Because these are terminologies that those watching, Cameroonians, are not so familiar, with terminologies like political education and as such, and training.
All right, thank you so much. Now you will realize that most Cameroonians support political parties for many other reasons apart from the major reason for which they are supposed to support a political party.
Which is?
Let me explain. Now, if you ask many people who support political parties, they'll either tell you, I am supporting this party because my father was a member of this party, and so I am a member of the party also. Or you will hear things like, I am supporting this political party because this is the party in power. You even hear people say, I will support any party in power. And then some people support political parties just because they have some following, and they can see that, oh, this party has a lot of following, so therefore this is a party.
They're following the crowd.
Yeah, so they're following the crowd. But the main reason why we have to support political parties is the political ideology. what is the ideology of the political party? What does this political party has to offer? What are my priorities? For example, if I'm a young student at the University of Boya, my priority will be, what I'll be looking for will be employment. I'm looking to be employed immediately after I graduate from school. I want to get a job when I graduate from school. And so if I'm supporting a political party, the first thing I'll be looking at is, how does this political party guarantee that I get a job as soon as I leave school? What are their policies for job creation? What are their policies for ensuring that the job market is open for me by the time I graduate? And if their policies align with mine, then I said, okay, fine. This can be the political party for me to support. If I am that mama who is out there and working in the farm, the question I start asking myself is, what is the policy of this party to ensure that my grain that I harvest from the farm can fetch me more money when I take it to the market? What policies are they putting in place to ensure that the yield from my farm is more, and that I can actually monetize what I get from this, from what I get from the farm?
So that's what you rate.
So these are what we call policy agendas of the party. So the role of political education and training is to ensure that party militants understand the policies of the party in the various domains, to understand the ideology of the party. In the case of the SDF, social democracy, that is the ideology, that is what we stand for. Many people hear of social democracy, they don't know what it means in effect. So the role of political education is to let them know what social democracy is. How does it benefit the common man in the street? So the role is to train these people, train the party militant right down to the base to understand all of this. The other thing that it is engaged here is not only about party policies, it is also about training the party officials at the base and potential candidates for election on campaign strategies. What strategies they can use to be able to mobilize the people, to be able to get them to come to be able to win votes from the population. Train them on how to perhaps gain young people to join their campaign. Train them on how to engage.
Just ethics of a political leader.
Exactly. All of that.
People get into politics too, like you're saying, like those who vote for the wrong motives. There are people who get into politics too for the wrong motives.
For the wrong reasons.
So yes, so definitely, we would have been able to will also be a space where they can be trained to refocus ideologies.
Of course,
because what we build, what leaders, the intentions of leaders before their election will definitely be what they'll execute after their election. And that's why we find most communities, most leaderships today going in with the poor ideas and coming out with the poor ideas.
Absolutely.
So I think that is a formidable one, which of course from now 2023 is finishing. We are looking at 2024 and 25.
Absolutely.
We definitely be having too much work to do.
Especially my department, which is going to be working in collaboration with the Department of Communication. We will have a lot of work to do to educate not only our militants and our officials of our party and candidates, but also to educate Cameroonians on what they should be looking for when they cast their vote.
All right. I'm quickly rushing through this manifesto because it's quite an interesting one. When we were talking, I was struggling to recall something. It has to do with the toll gates in Cameroon.
Absolutely.
Now, we're talking about where we can get references to what policies SDF has. We grew up hearing that SDF at one point advocated and it is in its manifesto and policy agenda that there should be toll gates in Cameroon so that monies could be collected from these toll gates and the roads,
road
infrastructure maintenance. Unfortunately, we also hear that the CPDM ruling party took the idea and implemented. But today, you cannot pin that on SDF because there's also no way.
A lot of Cameroonians know that.
We cannot find it anywhere. That's the problem.
It is true that you cannot find it anywhere, but Cameroonians know that. All right, a lot of Cameroonians know that. And you talk about toll gate. There are a lot of other things that the SDF has done. In Parliament, the SDF made proposals. There are bills that the Parliament submitted as private member bills in Parliament. And you understand that in the Cameroon Parliament, which is an overbearing CPDM majority, when the SDF submit a private member bill, they don't allow it go through, they throw it away. But the CPDM takes it and spin it around and come back with it as a new bill and present it to Parliament. And, you know, the SDF is not worried about whether they say it is the SDF that brought it, because our concern is the ordinary people. Our concern is the Cameroonians, to ensure that the Cameroonians are the benefit from the fallout of all of this. And so even if we bring them and the CPDM take it around and claim victory for it and put it in place, as much as Cameroonians the benefit from it, we are satisfied with that. There are a lot of bills that the SDF has put forward as private member bills. The CPDM majority turns it down and then turn around. The president of the republic turned around, take the same bill, work it out, and the only sad part about it is that in most cases they remove those very important elements that were included in it. They throw it away and then they allow just the sketchy. Yes, the sketchy part, and they bring it. For example, let me take a simple example. Elecam, as it is today, is the brainchild of the SDF. The SDF submits a proposed bill for an independent electoral commission, and CPDM, in their usual style, took it, remove all the elements of independence from it, remove all the elements of the issue that will make it a credible electoral commission, and then they turn it around and they refuse to call it independent electoral commission. I don't know what they are frightened about, because they are so frightened about the word independent, and they resubmitted it as Elecam and brought it back to the table. If you look at the law on decentralization, that is a copycat from a bill submitted on federalism by the SDF. They submitted a bill on federalism and they took it and turned it around and introduced what they call decentralization, which of course is not federalism, which of course is not actually the real empowering the local authority to manage affairs in their different local areas. And so they removed all those beautiful elements that the SDF put and introduced it in a different form. And so that is why the SDF is asking for the mandate of Cameroonians to take over power and implement these things in the real way they are supposed to be implemented. So there are a lot of those things that the SDF has done. And even if you look at what the government is doing, arresting ministers and all of that, it began with the SDF insisting on Muchipu Seidu. I don't know if you know him, a former minister who was investigated. The SDF insisted, and they set up a commission of inquiry in Parliament, and that commission investigated Muchipu Seidu, and eventually he went to prison, and many other ministers who are coming up.
In the Operation Sparrowhawk.
Right. That was all the initiative of the SDF that the CPDM spin around and bring it in their own way.
Well, like I said earlier, if you had a robust system where we could check those details,
absolutely,
that's what we are looking forward to.
That is what we are looking
with
forward
the new leadership. And Joshua also says he's going to establish a micro health insurance for party members. This is a great concern. Those who started supporting SDF from the 1990s, most often they'll say there are those old people who do not have. That's why even your Vanguard, they are very old people. What militants of political parties in Cameroon most often gain are a few cubes of Maggi, a bag of salt, cups of rice, and all that. They really do not have anything else apart of selling out their votes for a few cubes of Maggi and salt.
And all of that.
Now, this is an idea which, because what we are discussing here is not like we are selling any political party.
Exactly.
We are struggling to look at innovations that others can put forth on the table, and we have a competitive political setup and policies which we can work on for the betterment of Cameroonian nationals. Absolutely. And we're looking at establishing a micro health insurance for party members.
Yep.
How feasible is this particular aspect?
Yes, it's very, very feasible. I am sure the national chairman knows how to go about all of that. It's not my domain. I cannot talk authoritatively on that. But what I know is that the party is trying to empower party militants. We are going towards the direction where even young people are going to be empowered in some way economically, so that we have party militants that could not be easily swayed around by little cubes of Maggies and things like that. You're talking about bread and sardine, because we're going to empower them economically, that they can be economically independent and may not be wanting to look at that. And that will also attract other young people who will see that by joining the party, they're going to be economically empowered. So some of these are some of the things that we are looking at in the bigger picture of Cameroon, but we thought that we could begin with this within the ranks of our party before moving to the nation when we eventually take power.
All right, I'm quickly rushing over this manifesto because we don't have too much time. This other aspect of it has to do with preparing the future for women and youth.
Absolutely.
On Osih's manifesto, and he's saying that they're going to set up social democracy summer schools across the country to address youth issues and lasting opportunities with partners and business schools, content industries, and all that, to improve exchanges between militants, better connections between the base and the summit, all that. But I'm interested in support youth and women initiative at the local level and invest in high impact individual political projects. Women and youth in the SDF. Well, we might not have had a female chairman, contestant for the chairmanship. We didn't have. I don't know why we don't have women idling around the corridor part in the SDF. Maybe you have a better answer to that. But at least we had the 39-year-old.
No, we have a lot of women in NEC. The recent NEC that was elected, a woman was elected as the third vice chair of the party. Vice national chair of the party is a woman from the north. We have the national secretary for political education, to which I'm an assistant, is a woman. We have several women holding several different positions in the party. The national treasurer of the party is a woman. We have several different positions in the party that are headed by women.
So women are really represented?
No, women are represented.
What about youth? What about young people?
Of course, young people are there. We have a lot of young people. Even in our department in political education and training, we have people there who are about 23, 24 years old in NEC. And if you look at the past election, you will see that the three candidates who were running for the position of national chairman were all very young people, apart from the person who was eventually elected, who is also a young person, but who is 55. The other two candidates were in their 30s. The other two candidates were in the 30s. That is to tell you that we have a vibrant youth in the SDF political party. However, we are still looking at ways to bring in more and more young people into the folds of the SDF.
The document is quite voluminous that we cannot really go through, but I think Joshua is one of those members of the SDF who took his time to produce a good document that you can always go back and see his ideas as far as the party is concerned. But from what he's saying here, he is now the leader of this party, and he was putting it here clearly that the parties fully assume its leadership as a party advocating for federalism and parliamentarism in Cameroon, which means that as we speak, SDF still stands on federalism and parliamentarism in Cameroon. What kind of federation are we looking at? Is there a specific, or is there a reserve for the party for now?
Yeah, the SDF has always said that we hold strong to the idea of federalism. But we insist that the kind of federalism, and when you talk about the kind of federalism, I'm sure you're talking about the number of states. Now, because that is another thorny question to Cameroonians. What are the number of states that will be involved in planning. And we think that that is a decision that Cameroonians will take in a referendum. But what we are sure about is that the SDF is going to, if they are elected into office, they are going to be implement a federal system of government. And the reason for this is that we realize that the over-centralized system of government is very bad for governance. A school has a roof that is off. It has to take several weeks, or sometimes months, to get to Yaoundé, for Yaoundé to approve, and then before that is done, and then you get back here, and then you see that it is even more, it has depreciated even more. You find a little pothole somewhere that could just be addressed. They will need to write to Yaoundé for Yaoundé to approve. It will take several months, and by the time they are coming to maintain that small pothole, the pothole is now a bigger pothole, and the resources that was made from Yaoundé was to maintain that small pothole, and they will now use that small resources to manage it to maintain the bigger pothole that has been created. And at the end of the day, you discover that a good job is not done. And so that is why the SDF is advocating federalism, in which you don't need to get to Yaoundé to address a small issue like that. You don't need to get to Yaoundé to take care of a classroom in Bokwango that the roof has gone off, or to take care of a classroom in Lycée Moliko. All of that will just be done at the local level. It takes a few hours to communicate that to the local authority, and decision, the level of bottlenecks is seriously streamlined, and therefore we have effective governance. And another reason too is the fact that with federalism, the interest of different cultural perspectives are protected, and the interests of different states are protected, easily protected, and not in this situation where we have a central government that is managing everything from Yaoundé. Even the pension of civil servants, they have to be, an old man will have to be moving to Yaoundé to get his pension go through.
Well, we hope that those innovations that are going to start with your party, if you eventually take power someday, which every party dreams to, we're going to bring those innovations now to the national platform.
Absolutely.
Now, we might not have this opportunity to sit here before the sit, that is Monday, sit of November, but that is a date, a remarkable date in the country, sit of November, when President Paul Biya took power many years ago, 1982. And I think they will be celebrating, CPDM will be celebrating the 41st ascension to power of President Paul Biya as a political figure. What do you make of 41 years of President Biya come Monday?
I don't know how the CPDM plans to celebrate, since I'm not a member of the CPDM. I don't know how they plan that, but I will say that that should be a date of reflection, of Cameroonians to reflect, of even the CPDM party to reflect and ask themselves some very tough questions. And some of these questions they should be asking themselves is, after 40 years of the CPDM in power,
it will be 41.
41 years of the CPDM in power, what can they credibly show for it? Look at our roads. Look at the roads in Yaoundé, the capital city of Cameroon. I am ashamed. Jude, I'm ashamed when I have friends who come from the United States, they come here and they land at the Simelen airport, and they get into my capital city and it looks like a village. It is a shame. And therefore the question is, what is it the CPDM is really celebrating? For 41 years, the capital city cannot even have interurban roads, talk less of highways. Look at the highway Douala, Kongsamba, Bamenda. It is terrible. Tiny roads that were constructed in the 60s. Nothing has been done to it. The road has never been expanded. The road has never been reconstructed. And they keep going and doing patches here and there. Look at our educational system. a horrible state of education. We have an educational system where children graduate from school and cannot find jobs. And we have a civil servant mentality where everybody has to rely on the government to recruit them. The private sector is not robust. It's not working. It's not doing anything. And in fact, then what else can I say? Look at our health system. It's a broken health system we have.
So the issues are quite...
They're enormous. And so I don't know what the CPDM will be celebrating in 41 years.
But those will be celebrating on Monday because they too have a catalog of issues they say they have achieved. And that is why we are hoping that they give us a chance so that we can be able to share with them on the same kind of platform.
I will be glad to have that debate with them if I'm given that opportunity.
Yes. The CPDM, sometimes they're always restrictive to, I must admit, it's very difficult sometimes to get members of CPDM talk like others talk, and so it's not like we want to favor somebody or not. It's a platform where we give everybody to have an equal voice.
Yeah, it will be a wonderful opportunity if they can come here to tell us what they have been able to achieve in 41 years in power.
So we are looking forward to that.
I hear they are calling on the president who is over 80 years to run again in the next presidential election.
It is democracy, Mr. Ndifor. It's a choice.
Well, it is I do not deny that fact. It's a democracy, but the question is, what is there for Cameroonians to vote? I'm just asking because it is true. It is his right if he wants to run, because the Constitution of Cameroon does not put any age limit as to they have a minimum age, but they don't have a maximum age to run.
Other places, elsewhere, are there cases with maximum?
Well, I've not seen that, but what I'm saying is that they have a right to call their president to run, but I leave it for Cameroonians to judge if they still want a person of over 80 years who had not been able to deliver in 40 years. I wonder what that individual will be able to deliver in the next 7 years.
That is to you, eh? For them, they are seeing deliveries.
Well, that is why I said it will be an interesting conversation to have them here, so that we can have that conversation. I'll be glad to have that conversation.
Right. Our time is up tonight, Mr. Ndifor Richard, the National Assistant Secretary for Political Education and Training for Social Democratic Front Party. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jude, for having me. It's always a pleasure to be on this platform.
So we are looking at Joshua Osih's manifesto and asking ourselves if it's going to serve as a blueprint for your political party, the Social Democratic Front Party. Well, as you celebrate your new chairman and your new offices as we are galvanizing, we are also wishing the CPDM, people who are going to be celebrating 41 years of President Paul Biya's ascension to power on Monday, the 6th of November, wishing you well and hoping that the country will walk on a good political pedestal so that every national can achieve the good that we are intended to have. That's it for Mountain Echoes tonight. I've been your host, Jude Mbaku Munyo. Stay blessed with more programs on ZMR TV. Bye-bye.